and welcome to this video demonstration with me, Wayne, from drclean.co.uk. In this demonstration, we're trying to show you how to go about removing ink spots that have got onto this pair of shorts. I'll try and show you that in close-up. Hopefully you can see that. And they come from this pen. This pen is a dry white pen for one of those fluorescent boards. So you're writing on blacks. This is a fluorescent pen, and it happens to spot these shorts when this pen was shaken to activate it. So there you go, there's a warning for everybody. If you're shaking these to activate them, be careful. So that's what we're trying to do, and here's the equipment we need to do it. We have an ironing board that we're going to spot on. We've covered the end of the ironing board with plastic bags to save the ironing board from getting wet. We also have a series of absorbent cloths. We have a spray bottle to actually directly direct water at specific areas that we needed to get to. We have a spotting brush, which is a tamping brush that you hit a stain with to try and activate any reagent we put on. And we also have a spotting bone to work any areas that we feel might need working. You can use the back end of a spoon. Generally, we use the spotting bone at that end, the round end, not necessarily the pointed end, because if you use the pointed end, you could potentially do some damage. You actually want to use the round end. So the round end of a spoon, the back end of a spoon, works very well. Okay, and what we're going to try and do is work in a methodical way. We're going to go from the simple to the complex, and we have three reagents here that do exactly that. We have Stain Pro, which is a general all-purpose stain remover for blood, albumin and things like that, and it works on water-soluble inks. Now we have washed these shorts, it hasn't come out, so we don't think that that one is actually going to work. So we think we're going to have to go to more complex and slightly more dangerous in terms of fabric treatments. So we're going to citrus gel, which is here, which should work on solvent type inks, and then we go to Solvex, which works on most kind of solvents and tars. Now obviously we're getting stronger and stronger, and as we get stronger and stronger, the potential for damage to a fabric increases, which is why it's always sensible, even if you don't think it's going to work, like we don't think this Stain Pro is going to work through the simple to the complex, and that way you know that you're taking every precaution with your garment. So the simplest of these reagents is clearly the Stain Pro. We're going to put the shorts over the end. We're going to treat a little bit on one edge, then we're going to try the second one if we have to, and then the third. So we're going to try and separate out the areas that we're treating this. Now all reagents can do with a good shake before you open them. We're going to open this, and you can see it's brand new, up to the top with bubbles. I'm just going to put a little bit in the cap there, and then I'm going to remove the reagent from the table because I don't want to knock it over. Now I'm going to use the back end of the spatula. You can use the back end of a spoon just to dip in and then to add to a couple of the spots here. You can see that's all I'm doing. Just the end spots, so I know exactly where I've put it and I can tell if it's going to work or not. We need to give it a little bit of time to see if it does work, because obviously reagents can take a little bit of time to get their chemicals working. I'll say this Stain Pro is exceptionally good on albumin type stains, beer, food, grease, mayonnaise, things like that. All of those are water-based, mostly water-based or food-based, and consequently we don't expect it to work on this because we have obviously done a wash. And I can't see any movement there at all on the little stains that I've done. So I've done this section there, and it looks exactly the same as it did when we started. I'm just going to leave that for a couple of minutes to see if it reacts. Okay, so that's been a couple of minutes, and I can't see a massive difference in the area. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tamp the stain just to see if we can activate any part of the reagent. So we just take our brush and you literally let it fall onto the area virtually under its own pressure. This can't do much damage to any fabric. again, I can't really see, I mean, it might be lightening up a touch, but I can't really see a difference, so we'll probably see more if we try and flush that away, and that's what we'll do next. Okay, so we take one of our absorbent cloths, we put it underneath the area that we're going to flush through, take our sprayer and just directly flush through it. Then I'm going to take another absorbent cloth and just place it on top and hold the two together. And what we're trying to do is blot the stain away. We want to get all that reagent out if we possibly can. We've got some onto there, the absorbent cloth. There is no real difference in the stain's quality, although it looks slightly opaque. To me now, it's probably because it's wet. So we can safely say that we tried the simplest method and we don't think that's worked, so we're going to have to start going on to the more complex methods. Okay, so the next reagent up the scale is the citrus gel. The citrus gel, like everything, needs a really good shake. It comes in a gel format, and the reason for having that is that if you put it on carpet with bitumen backing, it should relatively be safe if you leave it in its gel form. If you start trying to push it through the fabric, then you might get some reaction underneath. But it is a water-based reagent. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to apply it directly to the stained areas. I'm going to move slightly further on. I'm doing the bits that we've already done, and I'm going to come across and do some more spots. I'm leaving the end free with our third reagent, Okay, now I've got the gel on there. You can see it's on the surface of the fabric, slowly but surely sinking in. In fact, let's just put some over on those spots there. A little bit more. It has a pleasant lemon fragrance. But what you have to do with this is you have to leave it for 2 to 5 minutes. So that's exactly what we'll do. I'm not going to let you watch paint dry. We'll come back to you when this has done its work. So we've left the citrus gel on for about 4 minutes. And what I'm going to do initially is just blot it off with a paper towel. Now if you've got any real paint there, then you've got to scrape that off. I can't see a huge difference, and I can't see anything coming off on the towel itself. What you're not really best to do is rub. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just see if we can activate it by tamping. And then we're going to flush it through and see what we have left. I don't think this has really had any effect. Exactly the same as the Stain Pro. I don't think we're really having a great effect on the stain itself. So let's now flush it through. I'm trying to actually push the reagent away through the area, so I'm getting really close with this sprayer. And again, don't need that. I'm just going to hold another absorbent cloth above it to see if we can suck that away. And again, I don't think we've really had any effect, so we're now going to have to go on to our last reagent, which is our Solvex. Okay, so now, if you like, in our last chance saloon, or close to our last chance saloon, there's one other thing I can try, and we're with the Solvex. And the Solvex is meant to remove paint, oil, grease, and tar and inks. So we're in the right territory there. But once again, nice old shake before we open the bottle. Open the bottle, and I'm going to do exactly the same method as I did with the Stain Pro, and I'm going to use my spatula, you can use the back end of a spoon, to apply some of this directly to the stain. So I wet it, put it on, and we'll see how this works. Once again, we're going to give it a little time to actually work in once we've applied it. hopefully we'll have some success. So there we are initially. What we'll do now is we'll leave this to react, come back to you and see how it's gone. Right, now I've left the Solvex for a short while, and I can see that it is having an effect on some of these spots. I'm just going to add another bit and we'll go very close up. If I add it to a spot and just easily rub it away, you can see that it's starting to dissipate the spot, and the spot's starting to disappear. You can see that for other spots as well. The spots are actually starting to disappear from the garment. Now I've got to be slightly careful. I don't want to rub this hard. I'm just literally slightly touching it to see what it does to these spots. Now there's a spot that's solid, and I'm just literally rubbing it very, very slightly because I don't want to do any damage to the fabric. And you can see that spot is literally disappearing. And I'm going to have to do this, I think, for virtually every spot. Again, these spots here, quite vivid, as we just rub at them lightly. You can see they're starting to fade away. See, I've just put a little bit more Solvex on. And it literally is the mildest touch that I'm having. I'm not trying to force the fabric to do anything it doesn't want to do. I don't want to damage this fabric. It's a reasonably expensive pair of shorts, I believe. There we go. And you can see every time I do this, it's getting slightly better and better. And the spots below that, there we go. Just a little bit of pressure with the back end of the spatula, and you can see those spots are starting to come away. So as we've gone up in the intensity of our reagent, we're actually having some success, but with that can come potential damage, and we've got to be careful of that, of course. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue working on this, then I'm going to flush it through after about 5 minutes, and we'll see the result that we get. Okay, so I've worked the stain a little bit, and we can see, and I've flushed it through with plain water. That's all I've done. And what I was doing was literally working the stain just a little bit over the areas that you can see like that. Now you can see the difference between this area here and these stains here that I haven't worked, and the vibrance of those stains. And I haven't obviously touched at all these stains here. You can see the difference in the look of those stains. There's a stain I haven't worked here. You can see the difference as you look at it between the stains I have worked and the stains I haven't worked out here. So obviously I'm going to have to do this again. What I probably will do is I will add some reagent, then I'll put it through the wash again. Remember, Solvex, citrus gel and Stain Pro are all water soluble. You can treat and put in your machine. And what you shouldn't do is after you've put them in your machine, don't put them in the tumble dryer. Let them dry just naturally and you'll be fine to treat them again if you have to. So that's exactly what I'm going to have to do with this. But it's quite clear that methodology, going from simple to complex, has actually worked in this case. Okay, so here we've just let these shorts dry, and I wanted to give you a heads up about how it's really gone, because you can only really tell when it's dry. And you can see that this central area, some of these spots have virtually disappeared, so the Solvex is doing a real good job. Here you can see the outer area, not so good simply because we haven't treated that as much. And as we get to the areas we haven't treated at all, you can see the spots are very vivid indeed. So you can see that difference from there or there to the central area. When we treat again, we're going to have to be slightly careful because we can see little bits of potential damage. They're not damaged yet, the fabric's still fine and the pattern's still good. But we've got to be careful so that we don't ruin that pattern and ruin the fabric. So the next time we treat, we're going to treat even softer. And what we'll probably do is we'll treat, leave it for a short while, put it through a wash, and that will be the way we'll do it. We'll have to treat some of these edge spots just to get the reagent working. But you can see from this that some of these spots are almost disappeared. I have good hope that this will be 100% successful in the end.